I'm grateful. I'm grateful I can read. I'm grateful that I can read English and that when I was younger and people started making fun of my accent, I started reading and cultivating my vocabulary so that I could respond with words to what I understood was an attempt to try to degrade me based upon a perception about where I came from. Now, perhaps there is some misrepresentation of the authenticity of the government documents that have been issued attempting to identify me. That could also include place of birth and even my birth date. Nonetheless, I've lived my entire life understanding, consciously, that I'm an American and I can read. So I'm going to read some things. I'm just going to read what it says. The crazy true story of abolitionist John Brown. Pre Civil War abolitionist John Brown has a reputation that precedes him as a leader who was willing to take lives to end slavery. Brown often elicits strong opinions. In some circles, he is known as a delusional madman and a zealot who set back the cause for abolition with his needless violence. For others, John Brown is something of a folk hero who finally catalyzed the efforts to free enslaved Americans. Malcolm X once said, "You could use the public opinion of John Brown as a sort of test. If a white man wants to be your ally, ask him what does he think of John Brown." John Brown was born on May 9th, 1800 in Torrington, Connecticut, and was the son of an abolitionist tanner. The Browns were strict Calvinists and believed enslaving people was a sin against God. Owen, John Brown's father, moved the family to Ohio and helped shelter escaped enslaved people in the Underground Railroad. Now I'm going to turn to another document. S-488. To amend Title 18 United States Code to specify lynching as a deprivation of civil rights and for other purposes. A bill to amend Title 18 United States Code to specify lynching as a deprivation of civil rights and for other purposes being enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America and Congress assembled. Section 1. Short title. This act may be cited as the Justice for Victims of Lynching Act of 2019. Unfortunately, however, no longer quoting, there is a lot mentioned in this bill. But I do not believe that John Brown's name comes up. Donald Trump's name does. And I believe that makes this very disingenuous. Now, this bill passed the Senate. Thus far, at least in its original version, as was introduced on February 14th of 2019, did not pass the House. Returning to the original information here, it discusses and is understood that John Brown tried to mount a insurrectionist effort on October 16th, 1859 by night. Brown and his army swept into Harper's Ferry. They cut the telegraph lines, took control of the musket factory, and kept local enslavers as hostages. In a huge tactical error, when Brown came by the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad train, which was on its way to D.C., he let it continue its trip after a few hours of stalling it. During the train stop, a free black man named Hayward Shepard, a porter, was shot when he refused orders from Brown's men, per Smithsonian Magazine. Shepard was exactly the type of man John Brown's raid was supposed to protect. So, did you get on that train and decide you were going to run away? See, you'll put Harriet Tubman on coinage, won't you? Let me ask you a question. Do you think that woman got out of slavery and transported people out of slavery so that sometime later somebody could make her coinage? I mean, she's legal tender now, right? Would you make John Brown legal tender? Or would you expect him to be your non-legal tender for the leverage? My understanding It said John Brown was accused of treason and hung. Now, I know you all want to make some sort of deal or some sort of farce about Jefferson Davis being the traitor, losing his citizenship, maybe even dressing in drag. I want to know, are we going to get justice for John Brown? Are you prepared to do or obtain justice for John Brown? Somebody once told me, you need to take responsibility for stepping in the circle